I got to acknowledge, man, the 49ers, they look good. They do. They're now 4-0. The 49ers are undefeated. Are they good? That's the question we want to ask. And really, the short answer is, yeah, they're good. The long answer is, we'll see. I think so. There are really two things that are dependent on whether or not the 49ers are going to succeed long term. It's their quarterback, and let's be honest, their schedule gets really hard at the end of the year. We'll come back to that. But at first, I got to say, I love what the 49ers have built. I love what the 49ers have built and the way they built their franchise. They have a really good roster, and it starts at the top. Their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, is awesome. He runs a great program. I love his offense. He delegates to the right people. He's hired a good defensive coordinator. They're doing a great job. And then John Lynch, the general manager, bless his soul, the way he's built this team and the way he's done it from the inside out, investing in the offensive line, investing in the defensive line. The way you win football games, look at the Indianapolis Colts. The way you win football games is in the trenches up front. The New England Patriots lead the NFL in sacks. There's a reason for that. That's how you win. There's a reason the Patriots, are 5-0, because you win games with linemen. You got to have a good quarterback. You got to have good skill players, but linemen are where you start. Now, a good quarterback can't succeed without good linemen, but linemen are so important, and they're so not valued enough in the NFL. I love what the 49ers have done. They drafted on the defensive line. They drafted Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas in the first round in the top 10. They traded for Dee Ford. They have all kinds of good players in their defensive line. They drafted offensive lineman Mike McGlinchey. They acquired Weston Richburg, a center. They brought in vocal leadership with Richard Sherman. I love the skill players. They have good young receivers. I love their running backs, Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman. They have George Kittle at tight end. They have this guy, Emmanuel Mosley, who really stepped up last night on Monday Night Football against the Browns, making good plays against Odell Beckham Jr. The point is this: the 49ers have built a really good young roster that I feel great about. I do. I love their roster. The only question I have about the 49ers roster, it's their quarterback. It's their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I want to believe in him. I see things I like about him. I see a lot of moments I go, ooh, that's a really good play. And then I see plays where I go, oh, no, I don't like that. So I want to believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. I just don't yet. The truth is, this whole year, he's played really inconsistent. He's had good moments. I just don't trust him yet. And what I think of when I see Jimmy Garoppolo, you see flashes of greatness. You go, oh, man. There are moments where this 49ers offense looks like the 2016 Atlanta Falcons. And if you know the story, Kyle Shanahan, who's now the head coach of the 49ers, was the offensive coordinator at the time of the Atlanta Falcons. They had Matt Ryan, their quarterback, won NFL MVP. And you see moments now where the same coordinator, Kyle Shanahan, is now with the 49ers as head coach. It looks very similar. They use play action. They run the ball well. They have a creative running game. They do there's so many ways, so many plays that look the same, in fact, are the same. They even have Tevin Coleman, a former Falcons running back. I love the way they use play action. They fake the run. They set it up. Jimmy Garoppolo throws the ball downfield. And it all looks so good. There's so many good moments. And then Jimmy Garoppolo makes a throw where he forces the ball into coverage over in the middle. And you're like, oh, no. We were so close. You look so good. And the repeated theme I see with the 49ers are flashes of greatness followed up by Jimmy Garoppolo making a mistake. And the truth is, he's just getting better. He's getting better every year. But Jimmy Garoppolo's only started 14 games in his entire NFL career. I think this 49ers roster can win a lot of football games. They have a great core. They're good on the offensive line and the defensive line, which is the most important. You got to have a good line on both sides of the ball. That's why the Colts are winning again. 49ers have a very similar football team to the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe not quite as talented on defense, but man, they're only going to go as far as their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, though. Jimmy Garoppolo is the key to the 49ers' success. Now, I will say this. It seems like the 49ers are building something. And Jimmy Garoppolo does steadily improve every time I watch him. And even if this year the 49ers fall apart or fall short at the end, right? If they get to the playoffs and they lose in the wild card round, you got to feel encouraged if you're a 49ers fan. If the end of the year, the 49ers tail off, which they might if you look at their schedule. If it's not this year, And if it's not next year, 3 years from now, the 49ers, I think are going to make a deep playoff run. Maybe next year, but maybe not maybe 2 years from now. Remember when the Rams made the playoffs and then they got knocked out in the first round by the Falcons? I think we could see something similar with the 49ers where they're building something. They need some experience. They need to get to the playoffs altogether. Jimmy Garoppolo needs a playoff start. They get embarrassed or they have a close fight and they lose. And then the next year is the year they make their deep playoff run. Here are the 49ers' next 6 games. They play the Rams, the Redskins, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals again. The Rams and Seahawks are tough games, but it's very possible the 49ers go 5-1 in the next 6 games. That's not bad. Then you're either 8-2 or you're 9-1. But the second half of the 49ers schedule is much, much tougher. They play the Packers, the Ravens, the Saints, the Falcons, the Rams, and the Seahawks. That's a crazy run. That's a gauntlet of really, really tough teams back to back to back to back to back. 4 or 5 of those 6 teams are playoff teams. And the Falcons are not great, but they have some weapons. And Kyle Shanahan used to coach there, so they know Kyle Shanahan really well. And I'm sure if any team can scheme up a defense to stop Kyle Shanahan, it's Kyle Shanahan's former head coach, Dan Quinn. So I'm concerned that the 49ers are going to go off to a great start. They're going to be 8-2 or 9-1. And then that last 6 games, they're just going to tail off and just get embarrassed, and it's going to be hard for them. And 49ers fans are going to be like, what's wrong? Why did we fall apart? Because you look at who they've beaten so far. They've beaten, like, the Bengals, the Steelers without Big Ben. They beat the Buccaneers, and they beat the Browns. Not that impressive to me, honestly. But here's the good news, right? The last 6 games are the real test for the 49ers, and it's going to be hard. They're going to start great, 8-2, 9-1. I truly believe that. And then they might lose like 4 of the next 6, honestly. Maybe even 5 of the last 6. They're just going to really struggle at the end. Unless, here's some hope. I'll give you this. Jimmy Garoppolo has been very inconsistent so far. But maybe all the inconsistencies he's had so far are he learns a lesson. He learns another lesson. He learns another lesson. And he just gets better and better and better until eventually he really hits his stride. And maybe the final 6 games, they don't go undefeated or anything, but they go 4-2 or 3-3 against really tough playoff teams. But Jimmy Garoppolo's better and not as inconsistent. And if Jimmy Garoppolo can play consistently at a high level, then those final 6 games on the 49ers schedule are all winnable. Because the 49ers roster is incredible. But the question, the wild card is their quarterback good enough to lead them to victory in back-to-back-to-back weeks against really, really good football teams? And can Jimmy Garoppolo improve to get there so we can compete at that level? That is what I'm excited to see with the 49ers. I like what they're doing. They're headed in a good direction. Even if they struggle at the end of the year, either don't make the playoffs or get beat in the wild card round, I think the 49ers are building something. And if it's not next year, it's the year after next. I think the 49ers are poised and building towards a deep playoff run. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. And I want to be very clear and open with the audience. My YouTube channel is monetized. What that means is that some of my videos make ad revenue. It's fewer than you think. A lot of them get claimed. But in the past, I've received donations from people on Patreon and PayPal. PayPal.me/Zach Schaumler. Patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. And because I'm making ad revenue, it felt kind of weird just receiving donations. I wanted to give something back for the donations. And so people who support me on Patreon can give me $1 a month, and that allows them access to a pool where they can ask questions. If you send me questions through Patreon's DM service, you comment on one of my posts on Patreon. If you give $1 a month, you can submit questions. And with my eyeballs, I look at every single question submitted. Then at the end of my podcast, I pick the best top couple questions and read them on the show and answer them in a segment I call Ask Zach. Now that's for people who have money and want to support me that way. If you have no money to give, no problem. I totally understand. I grew up in a mobile home. I've been a broke college kid. I totally get it. But if you want to help in some capacity at the end, you can support the show by telling your friends about it. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Help me grow by telling your friends about this show. It would mean a lot to me. If you believe in my dream and you believe in this show, tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. Guys, my name is Zach Schaumler. Thank you so very much, and hope you have a great day.